if no more questions, let us continue with the same topic. We'll see some theory top things about the same topic in continuation, and then we'll move on to practical things. So if you remember, I had told you how does the structure of IDoc look like. It has got three types of records, right? What are the three types of records in IDoc? Can you tell me? Control record, data record, and status record, right? We have seen this in the last session. Did you go through did you go through the video uploaded on your student portal for the IDoc? Yes. So that is important, right? If you do not go through the videos already uploaded to your student portal, next session becomes difficult to understand, right? Okay. All right. All right. So as the IDoc is of having these three types of records, where control record is always one, data records can be one or more, and storage record is also there. Then the IDoc is associated with a message type. Okay, now what is message type? What type of data, what kind of data you are passing? So in IDoc, you actually have what you transfer the data, right? You are transferring the data from one system to the other system, one application to the other application. All right. So then you need to tell what type of data you are passing, and that technically that is called as message type. So in SAP, there are standard message types for the type of data you want to transfer. Let's say if you want to transfer the material master data, so there is a message type called metmas. Then there will be numbers, metmas 01, metmas 02. So you'll have to always use the latest message type. Okay, latest message type. Like, for customer, there's something called as cremas. These are the standard message types used to transfer the data from one system to the other system. Now whenever you kind of trigger an IDoc from one system, let's say this is one system. Okay, these are the two systems, system 1 and system 2, let's say. So in system 1, you are, let's say from system 1 you are triggering the IDoc. So system 1 become what? It will become sender, and the system 2 will become what? Receiver. Let's say this is sender and this is the receiver. Okay, so when an IDoc is triggered from system 1 to system 2, we know that as in IDoc has got what? This is the structure of IDoc. But what type of data you are transferring from one system to the other system, that also is the part of this data record, right? So the data that should go in a particular format, right? So if it is material master, it should have all the fields related to material master, material number, material type, material description, industry sector, right? Base unit of measure. All of these things are related to material master. So when you are sending material master data, you should have a message type related to material master data. When you are sending customer master, you'll obviously have different set of fields. You'll have one, let's say one set of fields for base general detail of customers, other set of fields for communication details, other set of fields for the bank details of the customer. Like that, you'll have what? Different segments. So remember that in the IDoc type or in the message type, you have got different segments. Okay, different segments. I'll explain you that in detail in some time. Okay, so what you're doing actually, you are sending the data from one system to the other system using an IDoc. So it is related to a message type. Okay, remember that always. And this message type is always associated with the IDoc type. Remember that message type is nothing but message type defines when I'll show you practically when we have to, let's say, configure the IDoc in our system. We'll have to create IDoc type also. So when we create IDoc type, we'll have to at least we have to assign the message type there. Okay, so depending upon the message type assigned to IDoc type, it will transform that kind of data. Okay, that type of data. So message type decides what? Message type decides the type of data that can be transferred using that IDoc. Okay, that is the job of a message type. Now actually what happens, let me show you, let me tell you some technical things, some more technical things about this. When you send data or when you trigger an IDoc from one system to the other system, you need to do what? If you remember last session, I told you it needs to have what? The details of the sender and receiver. That is already explained in the last session. On top of that, it has to have ports defined. Like, when you transfer data from one system to the other system, you need what? You need to define the ports. Okay, the connecting ports. So this is sender port, receiver port. Are you getting it? What is the port? It is kind of, it kinds of have the technical details about the type of connection actually. So you may transfer the data via internet, you may transfer data via some other means. So that if you are transferring data via internet, so you'll have to define the IP addresses of the sender and receiver in the port. Okay, so when you are sending the data, if you remember my last session, I was telling you it should go and hit the correct receiver, right? So that receiver information should also be available at the port level. So you define what? You define the port, sending port, receiving port. So that report will have what? The details about the IP address and other things. Getting it? All right. So an IDoc will have what? Let me copy this. All right. Just remove this. All right. So IDoc will have data, right? Data being transferred, and the data is always stored in the segments. Okay, like if you want to transfer, just giving an example, let's say if you want to transfer customer data. Okay, so you will have what? You will have to use the correct message type. Okay, what is the, let's say, correct message type? Cremas latest, whatever new version is, we'll check how to, we'll see how practically, we'll see how to check the latest message type in the system, SAP system. So let's say this is the message type then you are going to use. Then this will have what? Different segments. So let's say first segment is, just giving an example, may not be same or similar segments, but one segment is nothing but kind of structures, kind of different structures. So if I have to draw this, if I have to draw it actually, it will be kind of like tree structure. Okay, so there will be one will be root, and then you will have what? Branches for each. So these are like kind of branches. So where in general will have what? General detail. All the fields related to general data will be part of general segment general. Then you'll have what? Communication. Another segment, communication. So all the details, all the fields related to communication will be clubbed under one segment called communication. And the segments will have what? Segments are nothing but structures. At SE11 level, segments are nothing but structures. They have list of fields. Okay, so let's say for communication, you have got fields such as communication details are nothing but, let's say, flat, flat number, street, city, right, postal, pin code. All these things, let's say, are the fields in the communication segment. Then you have what, let's say bank details as one other segment, right? You will have different segments. Then you have sales details. What are the sales, how much sales has been done to that particular customer. Okay, so these are nothing but these segments in the IDoc type, or you can say message type. So these segments are nothing but structures at SE11 level, and each structure or each segment will have what, list of fields inside this. So when you define, when you create your own, you'll have to create the segment, and inside the segment you will create your own fields also. Or if we are using a standard one, I'll show you how to check different segments and the fields inside those segments. Getting it? So whenever you're transferring data, actually you are doing what, you are first deciding what kind of message type, what kind of data you are transferring. So you decide that type of data using the message type. So based on the message type, the type of data will be transferred from one system to the other system in the format of IDoc. Getting it? Okay, now let us see, this is very important, the next coming topic is very important. This is nothing but steps to configure the IDoc. Very important. So we'll not go into, there are many steps. On a higher level, we'll see steps to, we can say EDI. Remember, EDI is the system. Steps to configure EDI or IDoc. Okay, so let us see the steps. Okay. The first thing you have to do in the system is creating the logical system. I'll practically show you, don't worry. You'll see everything, whatever I'm explaining you here, we'll try to see the most of the things we'll try to see in the practical also. Okay, the first step is create and assign the logical system. So you need to do what, you need to create a logical system. This is done by, usually it is done by basis people. Okay, you'll have to do what, create and assign a logical system to a client. Actually at client level you'll have to create a logical system. So whenever you, this is kind of, let's say if I have to send, if I have to send data from one system to the other system, I should have the system details, right? System information for system 2. So first in first, I need to have the logical system, the logical name for the system, system 2. Like we have our phone, right? So our phone is also having like a device name, right? So kind of that you'll have to create what, logical system that will have the details about the current system. So for the same system, you will create that what, the logical system. Then you need to define what, we are seeing very high level steps. Okay, then we create RFC destination, we maintain the RFC destination, then we maintain what, we create ports, we create partner profiles, then we create port creation, then we have to define the user specific parameters. If there are any user specific parameters, then we'll have to define those as well. Okay, then we have to go to transactions. So we can trigger an IDoc using standard transactions or using ABAP code also. Remember that. So you can code, there are function modules that are used to trigger an IDoc. Okay. So on a higher level, these are the steps. There may be some more steps in between. Let's say there may be some steps in between 1 and 2, or 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4. Whatever it is, we are just seeing the list of steps that I'm getting, let's say, reminded of. I'm just writing those steps. But when we'll perform practically, we'll understand things better. Okay. Okay, so next we'll see is how does the IDoc look like. So let's say the first we'll see the hierarchy. We'll see what is segment and how does the data is stored in the IDoc. So let's say this is your IDoc type. IDoc type is nothing but, let's say if you are transferring the material master data, it will be that type of IDoc. Okay, then inside the IDoc type you will have what? You will have different segments. Okay, segments. What is segment? Segments are nothing but the structures that are used to transfer that holds the actual data actually. So segments will have what? The list of fields actually. So inside IDoc you have what? Segments. As I told you the example of customer master data. Inside the customer master data, then you have what? Different segments such as general data, then you have communication data, bank data, like that. You will have what? Different segments. And inside segments, then you will have what? List of fields actually. So actual data will be inside the fields in the segment. Are you getting it? And segment can also have another segment. It's kind of nested segment, you can use a term, but it is not used that way. So a segment can also have segment as its part. It's feel like, so if I have to draw a figure like this to make you understand better. Okay, so let me delete this one actually. This is not relevant. No, so in IDoc, IDoc is having what? IDoc is having IDoc is having this as the subpart segments. Then segments have got what? Okay, let me try this one. Yes, so sorry, not this one. Okay, then IDoc has got segments, and segment has got what? Segment has got the fields, as well as it has got fields, as well as it can also have what? Other segments. It can also have other segments. Okay, are you getting it? This is the structure. Segments may have fields and other segments also. So you define the segment. There are now I'll try to write down the transaction codes also. Okay, so that you will remember it. So IDoc type, the transaction code for IDoc type is WE30. Remember this transaction code. And for segments it is WE31. Okay. So where do you define the IDoc type? You define the IDoc type in WE30. And where do you define the segments? You define the segments in WE31. Okay. Then where do you create the message types? So you must be knowing, you'll have to create what? The message type, and the transaction code for message type is WE81. Okay. Message type, the transaction code is WE81. Then after creating the message type, what you do is you will have to assign the message type to IDoc type. Getting it? As I told you, IDoc type inside will have what? Message type, what type of data you are transferring. So message type, this is creation. Okay, create message type. This is transaction code W81. You'll have to do what? Assign the message type to IDoc type. So this step is different. This is not creation. This is assign message type to IDoc type. The transaction code for that is WE82. Okay, this is WE81. Are you getting it? Okay, so remember these transaction codes and steps also. This will be useful when we'll see the practical. Actually, the system is not working practically. Otherwise, I would have shown you some steps at least. Well, I'll have to check with the support team why the password is not working today. Okay, do you have any question until here? Okay, so I think we now have to see the practical part for the same, where we'll create the message type, IDoc type, we'll assign the message type to IDoc type, and we'll create segments inside those, and then we'll create the fields. At least these steps, and I'll at least show you few standard message types also. But let's see that in the next session, and we'll stop the session here. Thank you everyone. Bye for today.